Hey guys, it's Bro You Whack, and I'm so excited to be doing this video because today we're going to be doing a dedicated stadium build for not just one hero, but 3 heroes. 1 tank, 1 DPS, and 1 support. And the 3 heroes that I chose aren't necessarily the best heroes. Like, they are really good, don't get me wrong, but I feel like they're 3 of the easiest heroes to do well with in stadium. Any single player can play these 3 heroes and play these 3 builds and climb in ranked. And the 3 heroes are going to be the Junker Queen, Soldier 76, and Juno. And how this is going to work is that we're going to start from round 1 and go all the way to round 7, and I'm going to work your way through what every single round might look like given the different variations of money, but more importantly, what the enemy team might be building and how you want to play around that as well. Every odd round is going to have an opportunity for you to get a new power-up, and every even round, you're going to be able to enhance that power. So first, let's get it started what is surprisingly the most popular role in Stadium right now, support, and look at a typical Juno build. Now, Juno for me is my favorite hero to play in Stadium, period. And it's all because building a torpedo build and just building into your ability power is not only satisfying, but honestly kind of broken. There's not going to be much variations in the power or really the items that you buy. You're just really going to want to heavily invest in your ability powers throughout the rounds. Now for the first round, this is going to be the power up that I buy every single time, and it's going to be Pulsar Plus. This gives you a secondary charge to your torpedoes. This is going to provide a lot of early value, but also get that investment out of the way when you start to pour a lot into your ability power. And for the 3 items, every single time I buy the same 3 items, which is Power Playbook, Shady Spectacles, and Armored Vest. This allows you to get some power to your torpedoes, which is going to be a common theme for Juno that you're going to see as the rounds go on. You're probably going to sell a lot of these green items to invest in the more expensive blue items, and even sell some of the blue items to get the heavily coveted purple items. Now, in the first round, a lot of people will get so excited, like, oh boy, I'm building a torpedo build, I'm going to be all DPS-y, and that doesn't really happen until around the second or possibly even 3rd round. Right now in the first couple of rounds, all you're going to really want to do is just try to sustain your team as much as possible. So you're going to want to stay in the back line, and if you capture some of the enemies with your torpedoes, then that is good. Just don't be so gung-ho when it comes to trying to fire your torpedoes, even though that is the goal. Now the second round is going to be a good example of what you got to do for Stadium sometimes, and that's going to be sell some of your green items to get possibly an expensive purple item. In this case, I really like to be aggressive and buy Pulse Spike. This allows your torpedoes to travel 35% faster and give you a boost in your Medi Blaster attacking speed, and that's really good in a torpedo build because the time that you take to shoot the torpedoes, your teammates could possibly be dying where you would have otherwise healed them with your Medi Blaster. Well, this way you fire torpedoes and you have attacking speed increase for a moment to be able to make up for that lost time and lost heals. But if you don't want to be aggressive and you want to just continue to invest in your ability power, then you can buy the blue perks Nano Cola and Energized Bracers, either both of them or just one or the other, just depending on how much money that you have. The 3rd round is when it gets really fun with Juno. We're going to buy the power-up Cosmic Coolant. This is going to allow you to get 1 second of cooldown reduced for every target, not enemy, target that you hit. That includes your allies and enemies. This is when you're really going to want to take your time with your torpedoes and try to capture as many people as possible. Don't take your sweet time and wait to the last second to shoot, but really try to capture all the targets, and at the very least, capture all of your allies and shoot them because they're more than likely all going to be gathered, whereas the enemies, they might hide around walls and corners, and at that point, you're just wasting torpedoes. And then for the items, this is when you're really going to want to try to focus on investing in your ability power. I like the Lock-On Shield ability item, but if I don't have a purple perk already, this is when I really want to invest either in Pulse Spike or just some sort of purple item. Round 4 is going to be the first opportunity for you to win the game or lose the game. If you're going to win the game, you're probably already having a great build, but something that I would also heavily invest in this round is Pulsar Destroyers. This is going to add even more damage to your Pulsar torpedoes on the enemy specifically by adding 20 extra damage. And this is probably where you're going to need to sell some of your green items and possibly even one of your blue items to be able to afford a second purple item. Now the round 5 power that you buy can kind of be changed around depending on what you need. If you desperately need more heals, then you're going to actually want to go with Medical Missiles rather than going with Torpedo Glide. But if you want to be really aggressive and be a DPS Juno, then go with Torpedo Glide in round 5, and this is when you're going to really want to buy those expensive items for your torpedo power. Cyber Venom is one of my favorite items. This applies a healing reduction for 2 seconds for any target that's hit by your torpedoes, or you can go with Lumerico Fusion, or what I think a lot of people are going to go with is Champion's Kit because this gives you 40% power to your torpedoes. Round 6 is something that I don't think enough people invest in, and that's actually survivability. And I just bring this up, not saying that at round 6 specifically you want to invest into armor, but just something to try to consider consider. If you're dying a lot with Juno, buy armor. You're in the air, gliding a lot, just out in the open, allowing hit scans to shoot you a lot. So if you just have a little bit of protection with armor, you can be a DPS Juno without needing to invest all of your resources into your ability power. And then for round 7, this is when you're gonna have the most fun with Juno. Once again, you can play around with torpedo glide or medical missiles, depending on what you need, but this is when you're really gonna wanna focus on being a DPS Juno. If you buy a good amount of purples and even some blue items, you can get well over 100% with your torpedo power. And at that point, you can easily two-shot any squishy hero with your torpedoes. And because you have 2 charges, this allows you to secure easy kills very quickly. Or at the very least, just spam a bunch, because not only are you doing damage, but you're healing and allowing your team to also get the kills. And this is why I think Juno is not only one of the best support heroes, but just one of the best heroes in Stadium, period. But now Soldier 76 is up next, and instead of investing in your ability power, here we're gonna be a DPS machine.
I'm just gonna be a DPS machine.
Now the key with Soldier 76 here is that we're gonna be heavily investing in your weapon power, but more importantly, buying the first power in round 1 every single time, which is gonna be your supervisor. Getting a tactical visor after you fire a helix rocket for nearly a second almost ensures a guaranteed kill on any squishy hero during that time frame of the tac visor. It doesn't matter which round that you're in, assuming that the enemy team does not buy armor, every single round you can win a 1v1 easily, even if you have the worst aim. Especially in round 1, if you just buy the simple perks that give you weapon power, attacking speed, and more ammo, oh my god, every single 1v1 situation you're gonna win, every time. And once again, we're just gonna heavily rely on that 0.75 second tac visor that you get after firing a helix rocket in round 2 by investing in the 2 items, Talon Modification Module and Icy Coolant. This gives you the most power percentage at the cheapest price. You might need to sell 1 or 2 of your green items to get both of them, but really try to get both of these items in round 2. Alright, so going into round 3, because you're firing the helix rockets so much, some people might suggest getting like double helix, or maybe even getting cratered as a power-up. I don't. I buy the power chain gun because I'm still heavily invested in that 0.75 second tac visor. Continuously shooting your gun gives you more power, and with tac visor, you're not only shooting your gun that whole entire time, but you're hitting all of your shots. That's why I like chain gun in round 3. And then for the purple perks, a lot of people suggest Eye of the Spider, which if I want to be aggressive, that's the perk that I get, but don't sleep on Elska Suppressor. Eventually, this is a perk that you want to try to buy with Soldier, because if you just get one single headshot with one single bullet with Soldier, it applies a healing reduction for 2 seconds. Or you can just get Hard Light Accelerate and give you even more power after using a helix rocket. Now for round 4, you're gonna really want to play around with your items, sell some items, buy some items, get a couple of purple items, but one thing that I would also heavily consider buying is Codebreaker. This item ignores 50% of the enemy's armor, and this is around the typical time of when especially supports start to buy armor, if any at all. Just check what the enemy is building, and if you see that they're all buying armor, definitely buy this item. It's something that a lot of people overlook, and that ruins the ability to secure easy squishy kills with the Soldier build. Now for the round 5 power, some people suggest Cratered, or some people suggest double helix. I go with Cratered because I want the power of the helix, and I don't want to start heavily investing in my helix rocket just yet. I still want to pour just a little bit more into my weapon power, and you can do that by buying the item the Closer, which just gives you even more weapon power and also gives you critical extra damage as well. But again, at this point, you're selling items left and right, and you're just trying to figure out the most optimal way to build up weapon power, but not so much ability power just yet. At round 6, this might be where you start to invest in your ability power, but this is also probably an area where you might consider trying to increase your ammo clip. Maybe in round 4, you might increase your ammo clip because of the chain gun power up. Just whatever you do, do not buy the purple ammo clip because you only get a couple extra bullets for nearly double the price. Just buy the blue item and try to buy as much purple items that you can. Then finally, at round 7, this is when you want to power up both your weapon power and your ability power, because you not only have the funds to do it, but you're probably going to have double helix and or cratered at this point, allowing you to be a true DPS machine, and you're going to be able to one-shot so many people, lock onto the enemy, and just get so much damage. For most of the time, you're only going to want to invest into Soldier 76's weapon power, but around 6 and definitely around 7, this is when you can distribute both in weapon power and ability power. You can get tons of value from investing in both of these. But now let's look at the queen of all tanks, or if not the queen, definitely top 3 tanks with a Junker Queen Stadium build. So the thing about Junker Queen is all about sustainability without having to invest in your survivability, and how we're going to do that is pour a lot into our ability power. And it all starts with buying our first first power, which is going to be Let's Go Win. You refund your command shout every kill you get. Now, a lot of people would do chop chop when buying your first power up, and I can see the argument with that, but here's what I'm going to tell you. Would you rather want 2 axes or 5 commanding shouts? So many times with Let's Go Win in the beginning rounds, you're able to just roll into each and every single axe kill, because what you gotta do is command shout, axe the enemy, shoot them, they die, you get a new commanding shout, you axe, rinse, and repeat. You do that over and over again to the enemy back line, and if they have a junk queen or if they have a tank, you just kind of ignore them and just continue to steamroll their back line because they have no way to protect themselves since it's in the early round. Getting that refresh of the commanding shout provides so many more options for your next play. You can be aggressive, you can fall on your back line, or you can just continue to shred the enemy. Like, the axe is not the only way they can get kills. Remember, you have your scattergun and your knife. But when you go into the second round, you have 2 options. You can be aggressive and buy only 1 expensive purple item in the form of Booming Voice. I absolutely love this item. Eventually, you do want to buy this either in the 3rd or 4th round, but in the second round, you have an opportunity to buy it because not only does this provide ability power for your axe and your knife, but you're also more likely going to be playing by yourself as a queen, not really shouting with your team. Well, this will allow the shout overshield to be able to be applied to your teammates through walls. So I really like that perk, but if you don't have enough to buy that, or you just want to be a little bit more reserved and only invest in your ability power, then you can go with Nano Cola and Energized Bracers. Going in the 3rd round, this is where you're going to want to buy Chop Chop, giving you an additional axe swing. And since you've already invested into your power up, this is where you're going to be really axe heavy and just swinging at every single enemy. But in terms of the items that you can buy, I find that you can't really buy a second purple item, especially if you already bought Booming Voice. So this is probably where you're going to buy a lot of blues and a lot of greens and possibly have even 6 items, but at a lesser cost. Now, going into the 4th round, this is where you're going to want to buy Champion's Kit, getting 40% ability power for your 2 axes that you're constantly going to be getting. If you can get into the 3rd round, definitely get into the 3rd round, but in the 4th round, you're going to want Booming Voice and Champion's Kit and maybe 1 or 2 blue and green items. By round 5, you should almost have 100% ability power for your axes and your knife. Remember, this is not just for an axe build, this is also a knife build, and this is where you can kind of play around with the powers. You can either get Reckoner's Roar, which I really like, which applies 30 extra damage whenever you command shout, which you're getting a lot at this point, or if you're really good with landing your knives, which I'm really not, you can get Merciless Magnetism, which just applies a magnet knife for whenever you're commanding shouting. And while I do have 3 purple items that you might want to look into, which is Lumerico, Fusion Drive, Cyber Venom, and Catalytic Crystal, you might not have enough to buy any of them, especially if you bought Champion's Kit and Booming Voice beforehand. So once again, just continue to pour into your ability power. That same idea is going to carry into round 6. Maybe if you can afford it, get 3 purple items that you can just increase your ability power, but just really see what can give you the biggest percentage. And then by round 7, you'll definitely have enough to buy 3 purple, possibly even 4 purple items, and then a couple of blue items that once again just boost your ability power. Just remember, when it comes to the Junker Queen, from round 1 all the way to round 7, you're going to be a backline assassin. You're going to command shout past the tank and just axe the enemy backline so many questions. It's going to be command shout, axe, because they're just not going to be able to kill you. You're going to have so much sustainability. By the time they might get you to half health, you either A, have another command shout, or B, you just killed them. And then you get another command shout. So really, the whole idea is sustainability, carnage, and just living. That's the whole idea with Junk Queen, and it works for everybody. And hot gamer boys and egos everywhere, those are the 3 heroes in Stadium and some of the builds that I think you can use to easily win a lot of your Stadium games. Let me know what you think about this type of video. If you want to see more of this, maybe I can bring a Zarya, Reaper, and Mercy build because those are also some popular heroes. Just let me know in the comments down below. But until the next time, I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching more Overwatch 2 videos to come, and bye.